Hey everyone, this is Ben from Cinema Gulp, and with the summer officially wrapping up soon, I thought I would reflect back on the movies I saw the second half of summer. This is Leftovers. Extraction 2. This is a near-perfect action movie. It's one of the most unique sequels that surpasses its predecessor in almost every way. And I really enjoyed the first one. Is it a chug a few beers and enjoy the carnage kind of film? Fuck yeah. The characters we got introduced to in the first one are a little bit more fleshed out here with the relationships. What motivates them, keeps them loyal to one another. Chris Hemsworth is probably the most manly motherfucker in action movies today. I know that's not saying a lot. He is great in this movie, doing most of his own stunts, and some one-take shots that are almost impossible to believe they pulled off. This movie's fucking violent, it's fucking bloody, it's fucking intense, it's fucking almost non-stop action with just a couple of scenes to let the action breathe. It's one of the best action movies I've seen in a while. I would put it right up there with The Wicks. It's just a shame that it did not get a theatrical release, because damn, it would have been great on the big screen. Asteroid City. Anyone who watches this channel on a regular basis, all three of you I mean, know that I'm a Wes Anderson head. I mean, he is one of my favorites, and Asteroid City is no exception. I hold almost all of his work to the highest regard when it comes to filmmaking. Hell, aside from creating his own aesthetic, his own tone, his own cinematic language, his own acting style, and his own method of soundtrack use, he pretty much created his own genre. Because let's face it, whether you like him or not, no other film is like a Wes Anderson film. Asteroid City is unique, fun, quirky, inventive. Doesn't that sound like all his films? Of course it does. The cast this time is another banger with newcomers Tom Hanks and Scarlett Johansson, though I know she did some voice work for Isle of Dogs. Johansson is the absolute scene stealer in this one, completely understanding the method for which Anderson wants her to express herself and eating up every line of dialogue as if it were her first and last. She was brilliant.
About the tramp in the brothel who gets amnesia and becomes a pediatrician. You were very authentic.
Actually, maybe my favorite character ever.
I don't know why nobody else liked it.
Oh.
As was newcomer Steve Carell. He made a lot with his small scenes. He is another guy who really understands Anderson's dialogue. Fantastic film, probably my favorite Anderson film since Grand Budapest Hotel in 2014, and also, no surprise here, one of my favorite films of the year. Insidious: The Red Door. I know a lot of people find these films generic and cheap. I, for one, am fascinated by the idea of astral projection, so I find these films interesting. The first was probably the only legit scary one, but I've watched them all, and I'm a fan of the franchise. I like The Red Door for giving us a little finality to the Lambert family, who I felt got shortchanged by the disappointing Part 2 in the franchise. This installment brings back the Fireman, who, even though having only been in the first film in a couple of scenes, has become the franchise's face and main villain, and it was great to see him again. The Red Door, like the other sequels, is a very small budgeted film, and it's impressive that they've made what they did with what they had. I find it probably in the middle of the franchise as far as ranking goes. It felt like great closure to the family of the Lamberts that started it all, and for those who think it's just a bland generic horror film to come out in the summer, it's actually a wonderful father and son coming together story about memories and loss and regaining that bond. No hard feelings, and I want to say that to this movie right off the bat. This is a movie that looked really funny, and it sort of was. It's not as funny as it could have been, but I give it props for taking it as far as it went to get laughs when the screenplay obviously couldn't get the job done. What I'm referring to is Jennifer Lawrence going full frontal, getting naked in a fight with a group of people to a Hall & Oates song, Maneater.
Oh, here she comes. Watch out, boy, she'll chew you up.
Definitely the funniest scene in the movie. This is definitely not a bad movie, and Lawrence is obviously giving it her all, which is more than I could say for her in the X-Men movies. She's a great actress, and the movie lets you see that. The story and the characters are good, which makes things frustrating because if it were funnier, it might be the best R-rated comedy of the year. It just gets too serious and moves away from the comedy towards the third act. Needless to say, I found myself giving the movie more sympathy chuckles than actual belly laughs. J-Law should be in more comedies, just with better scripts, because she has the chops and the timing for it. Talk to Me. An Australian-made A24 horror film that explores the decisions of a group of teenagers who get their hands on a medium's mysterious severed hand, which can summon the dead. The film is bold and interesting, making the best of its unbelievable $2 million budget. The performances of the film are the highlight, with Sophie Wilde as Mia giving a deep and heartbreaking performance. The whole cast is great. A lot of the writing is creative and weird. The only real issue I had with the film is that, though it has amazing raw violence and shock value, It wasn't as eerie as I'd hoped it had been. The score was just off a little, electing to go with modern hip-hop over a creepy sound design and eerie music. It's amazing how moments in film are so affected by these decisions made over sound design, score, and mixing. And it gets two of them perfect. After mulling it over for a few weeks, for me, its biggest weakness is the score does not support the scenes to create the tension that the script requires. Other than that, the movie's bonkers and brutal, and probably the best horror movie of the year so far. The Haunted Mansion. Better than I expected. Funny, great cast, good effects, a deeper screenplay than it needed to have. Lakeith Stanfield is a highly underrated actor. Him and Rosario Dawson carry this film quite well with chemistry and conviction. Owen Wilson always steals every scene he's in, and he's hilarious. Tiffany Haddish didn't annoy me as much as she normally does, so that's a good thing. It's got some funny moments, and it's just an old-fashioned throwback to modern classic Disney films from the 80s and 90s. Last Voyage of the Demeter. Well, this movie flopped.
Everybody do the flop!
Which is a shame because I quite enjoyed it. I wish it had come out in the proper season like Halloween, so it might have had a fighting chance, but they dumped it at the ass end of summer, and it shows, unfortunately. It's very straight-laced with great production design, good characters, some really good writing, good sound design and music. It had a Shakespearean vibe, and looked a lot in the lines of the Bram Stoker's Dracula. There's a little bit of wonky CGI at the end, and the entirety of the crew's plan towards the end makes no fucking sense. But for the most part, I found it a classy, historic horror film. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem? I didn't know it had a subtitle until I saw it. This was an unexpected delight. Nothing really to love or hate about it. It's pretty inoffensive, and it's an action animated comedy, I guess. There's a few things they deviate from the source material on, but what Ninja Turtle movie doesn't? Wasn't really going to see this one, but it was playing on an off night, so I checked it out, and I'm glad I did. Strays. I've been seeing trailers for this movie for the past 6 months. I was so sick of the jokes in the trailer by the time I saw the movie. I am happy to report that those are not the only jokes in the movie. This is the funniest movie I've seen probably since Jackass Forever a year and a half ago. I really think the decision to make it so much more of the dog characters, where there's hardly any human characters, was a great one. The voice cast is hilarious and all in. Now knowing that Lord and Miller had a lot to do with the production of the film makes sense because it's a smarter than average R-rated screenplay, though it does have its lowbrow, low-hanging fruit jokes. I mean, let's face it, it's about talking dogs with foul language. I think it had a lot of really sweet and heartwarming moments too that were unexpected. If you're a dog owner, this movie is absolutely for you. I don't think it was written for anyone else. In fact, I don't know if anyone else would find it funny. If you've been a dog owner or a dog lover your entire life, you're gonna get some inside baseball fucking jokes in this from dogs' perspectives that had the theater erupting legitimately out loud. Definitely a hilarious movie to cap off the summer season. For Cinema Gulp, I'm Ben, everyone. Check out these titles. Till next time, we drink your cinema.
I drink it up!